Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April 27th, 2016 episode number 63 of Balls Deep Sports Talk. I am your host with the almost, your once again hump day hero as I am recording this on Wednesday night. However, you will be listening to it on Thursday, which means you will be listening to it on Christmas, basically for NFL football fans, as the NFL draft is finally upon us. Thus, for me, it is NFL Draft Eve. I have been excited for days to weeks to months to finally unveil my mock draft to the world and to see how the draft plays out. I absolutely love it. This is almost without a doubt, this is tied for my favorite annual episode of the show each and every year here on Balls Deep Sports Talk, along with my WrestleMania preview, primarily because I'm quite a big fan of the special guests that we have on our WrestleMania previews. But like I said, it is our big, giant NFL draft extravaganza episode here on the show. But we are going to try to keep it fairly quick as we have the past several weeks. I'm actually having to do two podcasts tonight because, as you know by now, I am also working for a website called VikingsDigitalDiaries.com, who, if you're in the Twin Cities area and looking for an awesome Vikings draft party to come to, make sure to come to the Vikings Digital Diaries draft party in Minneapolis on Friday night at the Poorhouse, starting at 6 o'clock. Confirmed guests are Matt Blair, Edmund Robinson, and Leo Lewis, other possible guests to appear as well. It is $10 to get in. You get raffle tickets with that where there are great prizes. All the proceeds go to charity. Again, that is at 6 o'clock on Friday night at the Poorhouse in Minneapolis. If you are looking for a Vikings draft party on Friday, and you're not too hungover for the one you go to on Thursday, please stop by and attend. I promise you will enjoy it. I will be there as well, if only for a little bit at the beginning. So I wanted to invite everyone to that, but I also bring it up because I am doing two mock draft podcasts, I should say, this year. If you count this show as one of those, I am also doing an exclusive, mock draft only podcast on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com. And for the record, the two mock drafts are going to be different. Now, that is not me being wishy-washy or anything like that. Since I had to do two of them, I decided that the one on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com would be my predictions mock draft. Not necessarily me wearing my GM hat the whole time, but really trying to focus it on predicting how the draft will actually unfold, not on how I think necessarily teams should go and it should unfold. Whereas that is going to be the change in the mock draft on the show tonight. For the mock draft I'm about to give you, I'm actually putting in a fun little twist on it. Instead of trying to just predict this is how it's going to play out, how we're going to do the mock draft on the show tonight is I am going to put on my GM hat for all 31 teams not banned from the first round, New England Patriots, and I am going to select for each team in the draft the way I would if I were running each team. So basically the mock draft you're going to get on the show tonight is exactly how the draft would play out if everyone running every team made the right pick and was a genius like yours truly. You like that? But so needless to say, and good news for all you football fans listening, that this will be a very NFL draft preview heavy episode. That being said, I think we're going to, let's get the plugs out of the way actually first, and then we'll get to the overview and the game plan, if you will, for the show. But however you're listening to the show this week, whether it be on SoundCloud, YouTube, or my personal favorite, the Spreaker app, or possibly Thursday night starting at 7 o'clock on glradio.net, hopefully for our first week there on the new internet radio station this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not done so yet, make sure to connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, simply search Scotty Dashball on Facebook, and then make sure to like and friend me. And then you can keep up with all the show news and as well as, sports posts, news related that I share with the rest of the world, because there's stuff going on in the sports world 7 days a week, and I'm only talking about it with you 1 day a week. So, trying to trying to stay, up to speed with each other that way. And you can also, if you're on Twitter, which I am quite often, I very much enjoy Twitter. Prefer it more than Facebook, but whatever. If you are on Twitter, you can follow the show by searching at BDST Show. And I promise all of my followers and friends, both on Facebook and Twitter, that tomorrow night during the NFL Draft, I will be posting and tweeting live the results of the draft as well as my opinions on the picks being made. So, that's another reason not only to connect, but to check in tomorrow night and watch the draft with me, basically, via the miracle of social media. All right, so I think that's all we have for plugs. Like I said, we're going to try and keep this quick and focused, as my schedule, as always lately, is just jam-packed. I'm a jack of all trades with way too many lines out in the pond. But that's trying to catch some fish here, all right? So anyway, getting to our overview, as I mentioned, this will be a very heavy NFL draft preview show, complete with my mock draft, which I will do GM style this year, not prediction style. If you would like my official predictions, make sure to check out that mock draft of mine on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com. But there is a little bit of football news to discuss outside of the draft as well, including Tom Brady, Deflategate, which is still not over, and a reactivated 4-game suspension, as well as Johnny Manziel news and Sam Bradford demanding a trade after the Eagles trading up in the draft to presumably select a quarterback at number 2. So lots of football to discuss, not just the draft. But we will also have other sports to discuss. We will be discussing my and possibly your Minnesota Wild lost in heartbreaking fashion in Game 6 at home to end up ultimately losing their first-round series to the Dallas Stars 4-2. Every game that the Wild lost, with the exception of the first game, was a 1-goal margin. So this series very much could have turned out differently. We will dive more into exactly what happened there. The dramatic Game 6 that there was that will live in Minnesota hockey lore for ages to come yet. We will discuss who some of the primary players on my must-go under any circumstances list is, as well as what I think we should and possibly will do with the head coaching position. And, of course, we will take a look around the NHL playoffs and get you caught up to date on how all the series in that first round have turned out thus far. We'll also be looking into the NBA playoffs. Not a whole lot of Wolves news to discuss. We did that in large part last week. I rambled quite a bit on the hiring of Tom Thibodeau, or Thibodeau, however you prefer to pronounce it. Excuse me. But so we won't talk very much Wolves basketball here this week, but we will take a look at the NBA playoffs, see where they're at in their first round, heading into the second round, and also catching up on some big injuries, primarily in the Western Conference. We will be taking a look at Major League Baseball, the Minnesota Twins, up and down. The Twins have a winning record, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Woo! The Twins have a winning record. What are you talking about, Scotty Ball? They're like 7-14 or something like that. Well, they have a winning record at home. That's right. At Target Field here in Minnesota, they have now finally won more games than they have lost this year. It is on the road where they are an atrocious 1-10. Yikes. But so we'll be peeking in on our Minnesota Twins. They had some call-ups that we'll be discussing, as well as some players sent down, a few players performing quite well that we will discuss, and maybe we'll take a quick peek around the league for some standings and statistics if we have the time. Not sure, though, on that. We will definitely be discussing some UFC news, as well as UFC 200 continues to have just be in the news regarding Conor McGregor possibly being there, possibly not being there. They have just announced the official new main event for UFC 200. We will discuss that a little bit once we get there, but I'm not going to let you know what it is right now. You got to stick around for that. And we'll also probably talk a little bit of pro wrestling, as we always try to do every week here because it's my show and I like it. We will talk some Lucha Underground news. Of course, it was Wednesday night, so I had to watch Lucha Underground as I do every Wednesday night religiously, the best pro wrestling production in the history of the world, at least from a televised product standpoint. And some really awesome news regarding one Lucha Underground star and yours truly that unfolded today to share as well. We'll also take a peek into WWE. Their pay-per-view following WrestleMania takes place this Sunday. A change this year from past years. The pay-per-view following WrestleMania for the last 5 to 10, however many years, has been the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. However, this year they have moved that back into May, I believe. They are still having that pay-per-view, but they switched it around on the calendar with the Payback pay-per-view, and that will be taking place this Sunday. So we will take just a brief glance at that match card of that filler pay-per-view and see if we can't find anything worth watching or, possible shocks or entertaining gems to look for. Things that we can be excited about because WWE fans know that, half of the pay-per-views or more every year are filler pay-per-views where we'll get maybe a few OMG moments or one or two good matches, and that's really about all we can hope for. They're not big picture, determining factor moments in most major storylines, but you never know. You usually get at least one occurrence of relevance per filler pay-per-view just to keep it from being too obvious of a filler. But so we will talk just a little bit of pro wrestling tonight, and that I don't think we'll get to any PGA, NASCAR, boxing, tennis, or soccer. Sorry. But like I said, we got a lot to get to, and we're going to try and cram it in to as small of a space as possible, because that's how we like to roll here on Balls Deep Sports Talk. It just, I don't know, it's more fun that way. It feels better that way. So, well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it feels better to take your time. So, but this week we're cramming everything we can. We're cramming a large amount into a small space. So that's the plan here for tonight. Now, let us kick off this show. Let's light this rocket, this candle, whatever you're lighting. And let's get underway with our hit opening segment. Say it with me, 3, 2, 1, everyone. Balls on fire. What has got me, yours truly, Scotty Ball, the most on fire, the most heated up, the most fired up? Whether it be positive or negative, it's just got to be intense, passionate, fiery, heated. You get the point. Now, obviously, it's not a fair fight this week. The NFL draft is, I've been fired up about that since the end of the Super Bowl, since the Vikings lost in the first round, technically. But knowing how much of the show that is going to consume, we are actually not going to start the show with our draft preview. We are going to save that for the end. We're going to do everything else. We're going to get all the other topics that we need to discuss out of the way as quick and efficiently and thoroughly, though still, mind you, we got to go balls deep yet on everything, as possible. So, NFL draft excluded, what has got me the most on fire. And boy, it could be UFC being a big fight fan and just all the uncertainty going on there. It could be pro wrestling, because my little bit of personal news that I had from this morning, man, what a highlight. Super happy about that. So that could sneak in there as a dark horse. Twins. Some winning, some losing, some failures, some surprises, call-ups, send-downs. That's a strong possibility. NBA playoffs? Nope. Sorry. Don't really have a horse in the race that I care that much about to be on fire about anything. Ooh, there is a piece of NBA news that I am extremely on fire that I just remembered about. I didn't even write it down here in my notes. There, now it's on my notebook. And ooh, boy, now NBA has a chance at Balls on Fire. Or hockey would be the other choice. Mine, possibly your Minnesota Wild. The heartbreaking end in Game 6. The non-goal that was a goal. The